The valet barely had time to open the door before Mary Whitaker stepped out of the black Escalade, her hands wrapped tightly around a simple beige handbag that had once belonged to her mother. She adjusted the hem of her navy dress, modest but crisply ironed, and took a steady breath. This wasn't her world, not even close, but her son had asked her to come. So she came. Mary didn't wear designer labels. She didn't know a Versace from a Valentino, and she didn't care to learn. Her outfit was from a local department store back in Ohio, the kind with yellow sale tags and fluorescent lighting. But she wore it with dignity. The same way she'd worn her diner uniform for 28 years before retiring. Her silver hair was curled just enough, her pearl earrings the only thing she'd splurged on for the occasion. The country club loomed before her like a marble fortress. Greenwich Hills. All white columns, manicured hedges and whispers behind wine glasses. Her son, her sweet ambitious Matt, had told her the lunch would be low-key, a simple toast after finalizing the merger. No big speeches, Mom. Just sit with me while I sign some papers. He hadn't mentioned it was with the Hathaways. Old money. Deep roots. The kind of family whose name appeared on library wings and hospital foundations. The kind of family that treated wealth not as luck or labor but as birthright. Mary made it 3 steps past the front entrance before a woman in a crisp navy uniform intercepted her, arms crossed, eyes scanning like a barcode reader. "Excuse me," the woman said, offering no smile. "Deliveries and service staff use the rear entrance." Mary blinked, confused. "I'm here for lunch, with my son Matthew Whitaker." The woman's face remained tight. "If you're with catering, the loading bay is to the left." "I'm a guest," Mary replied, firmer now, holding her ground. "My son is meeting the Hathaway group. He's one of the executives." Before another word could be exchanged, a voice drifted across the patio like acid through linen. "Oh dear. Are we letting the help dine with us now?" Heads turned. Victoria Hathaway stood by a table of clinking glasses, her smile sharp, her blouse pristine, her pearls almost offensively large. Her tone carried casual cruelty like it was second nature. One of her sons stifled a laugh. Mary felt the heat rise in her cheeks, but she didn't flinch. She didn't storm off or cry. She simply pressed her lips together and held her handbag a little tighter. From the far side of the lawn, Matthew Whitaker froze mid-toast. His champagne flute hovered in the air, half raised, the tip of his smile disappearing like a ship beneath water. He scanned the crowd, spotted his mother, and saw the interaction. The security posture. The condescension. The Hathaway grin. He placed the glass gently on the table and started walking. Mary looked up just as he reached her. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded. "Let's not make a scene, honey." "I'm not. I'm just making it clear." He turned to the club staffer. "This is my mother. The most important person in this building." The staffer tried to apologize. The words wouldn't come. Her cheeks flushed crimson. He looked down at his mom. "Let's go." "But your deal." "You are the deal," he said. "And they just broke it." He opened the door of the Escalade himself and helped her in. Mary reached for his arm, eyes misting over. "Don't blow this up on account of me." He leaned in. "You're the reason I built anything worth blowing up." Back inside, the marble dining hall buzzed with uneasy energy. The signing table was set. The merger documents stacked. Over a year of due diligence and strategy rested on that room. But the air shifted when Matthew walked back in, alone. He didn't yell. Didn't curse. Just walked quietly to his chair, paused, and turned to the table. "I need to say something." Conversations died mid-sentence. Chairs creaked. A hush fell. "You all know what this merger meant. To our companies. Our investors. The future of infrastructure in America. But I won't be signing it." Silence. Then scattered gasps. Confused muttering. A dropped fork clinked against porcelain. Victoria Hathaway turned her head slowly, lips twitching in disbelief. "Excuse me?" "I said I'm walking away." "Is this a negotiation tactic?" one of the lawyers asked, already sweating through his tie. "It's not a tactic. It's a principle." Victoria laughed once. A bitter, dismissive sound. "This is about that woman? That woman is my mother." "I didn't know." "You didn't care," he replied calmly. "You knew she didn't fit. And you reminded her." Preston Ward, Hathaway's legal counsel, tried to step in. "We've invested millions, there are contracts, liabilities." "Then I'll see you in court," Matthew said. "Explain to a judge why classism is part of your onboarding strategy." Victoria snapped, "You're being emotional." He stepped forward slightly. Do you think I built this company from a corner office? I hauled crates. I paid payroll with my own credit card. I watched my mom skip meals to keep our electricity on. So when she walks in here, proud as hell, and you treat her like a stain. He looked at every face in the room. You didn't humiliate her. You humiliated me. He turned and left. No signatures. No deals. No regrets. By the time the clock hit 10 a.m. the next morning, the story was out. Not a business report. Not a financial column. The story spread like fire through dry brush. At first, it was a whisper in business circles. A few board members from the luncheon told a version of what happened. Someone from the Hathaway legal team leaked a draft email complaining about the CEO's unpredictable behavior. But none of that stuck. What stuck was the truth, and someone from the inside had made sure it got out. By noon, a startup podcast in Seattle had posted a segment titled, "The $1 Billion Walkout, When Respect Means More Than Revenue." In it, the host described how CEO Matthew Whitaker had stood up from a $900 million merger and walked away because his mother had been humiliated by a family whose wealth dated back to the steel barons. By 4 p.m., Business Insider ran a piece. By 6 p.m., it hit CNBC and Forbes. By 8, #Matt Whitaker was trending on X with captions like, "He left the money on the table to stand by his mom. Class isn't bought. Clearly it's inherited." By 10 p.m., Victoria Hathaway's comment, "Are we letting the help dine with us now?" was a meme. The next morning, cameras swarmed outside Whitaker Logistics' downtown Manhattan office. They didn't find an entourage. They found Matt walking in alone, coffee in hand, nodding to the receptionist like it was any other day. Reporters shouted, "Mr. Whitaker, was the deal canceled over your mother? Do you regret losing $900 million? He didn't stop. He didn't even flinch. But inside the walls were shaking. His executive team had been on damage control since midnight. Investors flooded the inbox. Some were angry. Some confused. But a surprising number, warehouse owners, teachers, mechanics, sent messages that all read the same way. "Thank you." Still, not everyone was on his side. The second-floor conference room was filled to capacity. His COO Julian Ricks was the first to speak. "We need to be honest. This could tank us. Not this week, but within the quarter. The Hathaway partnership was our launch pad for Europe. Without it, we don't collapse," Matt said. "We teeter," his CFO Elena Porter added. "They're drafting breach claims. They'll say you walked away for emotional reasons. That it's personal." Matt leaned forward, hands folded. "It is personal. My family is not a liability." "And if they spin that differently?" Julian said. "If they say you're unstable? Let them." The room fell quiet. Then Nia Chambers, head of communications, spoke. She had been with Matt since the second warehouse. She'd pulled 16-hour shifts on launch weeks and fought through every round of expansion. "I stand by your decision," she said. "But you need to get ahead of the story." "I'm not doing a tour. I'm not staging a TED Talk," Matt replied. "I'm not asking you to," she said. "I'm asking you to remind people who you are before the Hathaways tell them who you're not." That landed. Because the next day they did try to rewrite the narrative. A press release from Hathaway Group appeared on their corporate site and quietly slid into journalists' inboxes. The Hathaway Group regrets the miscommunication that disrupted what was otherwise a groundbreaking opportunity for mutual growth. We remain committed to values of respect and integrity. It didn't name Mary. It didn't acknowledge Victoria's words. It reeked of damage control, and everyone could smell it. That same afternoon, Matt stood behind a folding table with a mic that squeaked twice before it worked. 20 reporters crammed into a space made for 10. No backdrop. No banner. Just truth. "I didn't cancel this deal because of ego," he began. "I canceled it because when you allow disrespect to sit at the table, it spreads." A reporter from the Wall Street Journal asked bluntly, "Was it true that Victoria Hathaway made the comment about your mother?" Matt nodded. "Yes. Loud enough for others to hear. Loud enough for my mother to feel." Another asked, "Is that really a reason to walk away from $900 million? He paused. "Depends what kind of business you want to build. Mine isn't one that trades dignity for dollars." The soundbite went viral. By midnight, his speech had been clipped, reposted, and stitched into TikToks by entrepreneurs, teachers, even single moms running side hustles. But now the pressure started coming from within. 2 days later, Matt met with Theron Bishop, his cousin, co-founder, and the man who once sold his only car to cover payroll in their first year. They met in Jersey in the same diner where they first dreamed this whole thing up over lukewarm coffee and a basket of fries. Theron was already seated when Matt walked in. "You know what I've been dealing with?" Theron said without saying hello. "Monroe Bank just paused our credit line. The same one we needed for the expansion." Matt nodded. He expected this. "We had everything lined up. And you burned it? Because of a damn comment." "Because of what that comment meant?" Matt said. "Because silence would have been a lie." Theron slammed his coffee down. "That wasn't your fight. It was my mother." Theron looked tired. Angry. Betrayed. "You made that decision for both of us, Matt. For everyone who spent 10 years building this thing." Matt didn't raise his voice. He didn't flinch. "And I made it knowing I could live with it. Then I hope that's enough when this all goes under." Theron left the diner. Didn't finish his toast. And Matt was left there, staring into the dregs of a coffee that had gone cold. But what came next would shake even deeper foundations. A blocked number. A strange voicemail. And a voice Matt hadn't heard in decades. "Matt, it's Uncle Ray. I saw what you did. I'm proud of you. And I'm sorry." The last time he'd heard that voice, they were burying his father. And Ray never came back after the funeral. The past wasn't done with him yet. And the fight to protect his family's name had just begun. Matt sat in his New York office, alone, long after his team had gone home. The city outside moved on like nothing had happened. Cabs honked. Streetlights blinked. A mother scolded her child across the crosswalk below. But inside those tall windows, Matt couldn't stop thinking about what came next. The Hathaway family wasn't going to let this end with a few bad headlines. He knew it. He felt it. And he was right. The call came at 8:17 p.m. A private number. He almost ignored it, figured it was another journalist fishing for a quote. But something told him to pick up. A gravelly voice greeted him. "Mr. Whitaker. I'm not calling for trouble. But you should know what they're planning." Matt stood up slowly. "Who is this?" "I worked on Hathaway's acquisitions team for over a decade. I left last year. But I've seen how they operate. You embarrass them. Victoria doesn't forgive humiliation, she buries it." Matt's grip on the phone tightened. "What are they doing?" "They're prepping a countersuit. Claiming instability. Trying to paint you as erratic. They're going to dig up old funding rounds, startup pivots, anything they can twist to discredit you. Make it seem like you tanked the deal for personal drama. They want to erase the reason you walked away, make people forget that this all started because someone humiliated your mother." "Why tell me?" A long pause. "Because I've seen what happens when no one does." The line went dead. Matt stared at the screen, the reflection of his own face fractured across the glossy black. He called Nia first thing the next morning. She answered on the second ring, no surprise in her voice. "They're coming after you," she said before he even explained. "You sure?" "They're already whispering to outlets. Implying you're volatile. Overly emotional. Hard to do business with." Matt sighed. Classic playbook. Flip the story before it settles. Nia didn't flinch. "Then we flip it back. But we don't shout. We show." And within 48 hours they did. A media campaign quietly launched. No ads, no buzzwords. Just real people. A warehouse supervisor posted a video about how Matt had once delivered meals during a winter storm to stranded drivers. A former intern recalled the day Matt personally helped her prep for a grad school interview. An investor who had quietly backed them during their rocky Series A round released a statement. Matt didn't just lead with numbers. He led with values. He didn't sell out when it mattered. But none of that hit harder than Mary. Nia convinced her to record a short message. No makeup. No lights. Just a cell phone video in her kitchen. "I didn't raise my son to be rich," Mary said, seated at the same table where she used to sort coupons. "I raised him to be decent. And when being decent costs you money, you find out who you really are." That clip went viral in under an hour. By sundown, the Hathaway smear attempts were already unraveling. But they didn't stop. The next move came in the form of a leak, to a business journal, Hathaway documents suggesting Matt had violated an early logistics partnership from 5 years ago. The implication: he had a history of impulsive exits. But the CEO of that old partner, Stratus Line, came forward the same day. "Matt left our deal because he refused to greenlight wage cuts for delivery drivers. I wish I'd had the guts to do the same." Another hit, blocked. Meanwhile, inside the Hathaway estate, chaos brewed under cold chandeliers. Their PR team was panicking. Board members were demanding statements. Sponsors were pulling out of partnerships. Victoria refused to admit wrongdoing. He'll fade, she said over breakfast. These things always do. Clinton, her oldest son, pushed back. No, they don't. Not this time. You didn't just lose a deal, you turned our name into a cautionary tale. I'm not apologizing, Victoria snapped. For standards? For asking why a woman in thrift store shoes was at my table? Clinton stood up. Then you're not part of this company anymore. She laughed, sharp, dismissive, but her fingers trembled slightly around her teacup. By contrast, in Matt's world, something else was building. Support. Loyalty. Pride. Even as internal tensions remained. Especially with Theron. They hadn't spoken since the diner. Matt stared at his cousin's contact name for 2 days before sending a single text. Can we talk? They met again. Quietly. No press. No boardroom. Just a walk through their old neighborhood in Newark. You still think I screwed everything up? Matt asked. Theron didn't answer at first. He stared ahead, watching the cracked sidewalk unfold beneath their shoes. I think you reminded me why we started this, he said. But I'm still pissed. That's fair. Theron stopped walking. You ever think maybe you were trying to fix something for yourself too? Not just for her? Matt looked at him. Maybe. But maybe I just wanted my mother to walk through a door and not feel small. Theron nodded once. Then let's build something where nobody has to. And just like that, the distance shrank. They walked on. That same week, Matt announced a new project, the Mary Initiative, a foundation focused on supporting blue-collar families in logistics. Child care stipends, emergency health screenings, education grants. No launch event. No ribbon cutting. Just a website, a few early partners, and one message. Respect isn't a luxury. It's a baseline. And the public answered. Donations poured in. Stories flooded inboxes. Local news ran features. But the biggest change wasn't on screen or on stage. It was in Mary's eyes, sitting in her backyard, holding her son's hand while he talked about the next step. You didn't just walk out of a boardroom, she told him. You walked into your own name. Matt didn't say much. He just sat there letting the quiet speak. But peace wouldn't last forever. Because one more voice was about to echo from the past, and challenge everything he thought was finished. The voicemail came just as Matt walked into his apartment, tired from back-to-back investor meetings and a site visit at one of their new hubs. He poured a glass of water, loosened his tie, and saw the blinking notification on his phone. Unknown number. No transcript. Just one new message. He tapped play. The voice hit like a memory he didn't ask for. Matt, it's Uncle Ray. I saw what you did, about your mom, the deal, all of it. I just wanted to say I'm proud of you. And I'm sorry. If you ever want to talk, this is my number. Matt froze. He hadn't heard from Uncle Ray in over 20 years, not since the funeral. After his father collapsed from a heart attack at 49, Ray had stood next to the casket, whispered, I got you, and then disappeared like a ghost. No calls. No birthday cards. Not a single check-in when Mary was working double shifts and Matt was skipping lunch to make sure the lights stayed on. And now, suddenly, I'm proud of you. The next morning, Mary called before he could call her. Ray called me too, she said, voice even. He said he wanted to make peace, Matt replied. He might. Or he might just want to stop feeling guilty. Matt exhaled. I don't think I need peace with him. Maybe not, she said. But sometimes peace ain't for them. It's for you. That stuck. Later that evening he called Ray back. 3 rings. Then a cautious voice. Matt? It's me. A long silence. Then a quiet laugh. You sound just like your dad. Matt didn't respond to that. He didn't want to talk about who he sounded like. He wanted to talk about who was missing for 20 years. I left because I didn't know how to stay, Ray said. Your father was everything to me. When he died, you looked too much like him. I didn't know how to be there without failing. I didn't need you to fix things, Matt replied. I just needed to know I wasn't forgotten. Ray's voice cracked. I know. And I'm sorry. They talked for 15 more minutes. No business. No mergers. Just memories, 4th of July barbecues, the old Chrysler his dad drove, the time Matt scraped his knee learning to ride a bike and Ray carried him home on his shoulders. It wasn't healing. But it was something. Later that week, Matt stood in front of his team at their Newark headquarters. Senior execs, interns, warehouse leads. He talked about what it meant to stand up for values, to hold the line when the world wants you to bend. Forgiveness isn't about approval, he said. It's about choosing not to carry the bitterness someone else gave you. A few people nodded. Some wiped their eyes. Most understood more than they let on. After the meeting, A young intern caught up to him in the hallway. "Mr. Whitaker," she said, breathless. "I just wanted to thank you. My dad always told me business was cold. That no one with morals ever makes it. But you proved him wrong." Matt smiled softly. "No, my mother did." By then, the Mary initiative had expanded into 5 states, with partnerships supporting thousands of workers' families. Drivers now had free dental screenings, night shift care programs were rolling out, and every holiday season included full grocery stipends for low-income employees. Mary didn't want to be in the spotlight. But when asked to attend the first annual foundation dinner, she put on her best dress and came anyway. The same earrings. The same strength. Matt introduced her. He didn't need to say much. "This is the woman who raised me to never be afraid of hard choices. Who taught me that dignity isn't negotiable. Who gave me her name and her backbone." The crowd stood. Not for Mary the public symbol. For Mary the mother. For Mary the waitress who never missed a shift, who pinched pennies for field trip forms and birthday cakes and notebooks that weren't on sale. That night, under strings of warm lights and simple linen tablecloths, Mary leaned over to Matt and said, "You built something real. Something no one can buy or sell." Matt took her hand. "I had a good blueprint." But just when things seemed to finally settle, when Matt thought maybe, just maybe, they could all breathe again, a letter arrived. Not a lawsuit. Not a memo. Just an envelope. No return address. Handwritten. He opened it late one evening, long after the last call and hours after Mary had gone to bed. Inside, in careful cursive, it read, "Mr. Whitaker. My name is Colleen Harris. My father was the groundskeeper at Hathaway Ridge for over 25 years. He woke up at 4 a.m. every day, trimmed hedges in the snow, polished marble steps with his bare hands. But no one ever called him sir. I saw what you did, for your mother. I cried. Not because it was surprising, but because it wasn't. It was overdue. Thank you for reminding the world that worth isn't tied to wealth. And that some names are built, not inherited. With deepest respect, Colleen." Matt read it twice, folded it, placed it next to the photo on his desk. Him and Mary standing outside their first warehouse, smiling through a winter wind. He didn't need fanfare. He didn't need redemption. But what he had was legacy. Not in the deals he signed, or the wealth he built, or the boardrooms he entered, but in the woman who raised him, in the respect he refused to trade, and in the silence he shattered so no one else would have to. Because in the end, legacy isn't about what you leave behind. It's about what you protect while you're still here. And Matt Whitaker had made sure the world would never forget who he was, or who he came from.